Hi guys, I'm Termeyy, welcome back on my channel. Today we show you how to make the beat for Annihilate by Boomin, Swae, Lil Wayne and Offset. This is the main soundtrack for the Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse movie, so let's begin with the breakdown. First thing, I had to recreate this reverse sample that is using in the intro. This sample is composed by 4 layers. We have the main lead, the strings, the bass and then the drum loop. This is the melody for the main lead. On the piano roll, the melody is flipped so that when I render it out, I can actually reverse it like the original sample. Analyzing the music theory, we are in the B harmonic minor scale and is using just the tonic chord, so B minor. And these are projecting this chord using the suspended 2, the 3rd, the suspended 4, the 5th, the augmented 5th, and is also using the 7th grade of the harmonic minor scale to accentuate that exotic feeling on the melody. This is the first layer from Repro. I tweaked this preset, the MJ folded clarinet. This main lead is made out of a square wave and a triangle wave with a lot of detune and a little bit of filter. The amplifier envelope in this case is really important because it affects the final reverse effect. So as you can see, I tweak the attack and the decay knob to 0, then I have the sustain to 100, and then I have a little bit of release. With this setting, the sound is only playing when I hit a note. For some notes, I also use the gliding effect. And then I have 2 additional layers for this main melody. One is the clarinet from the new Mellow Bank in Contact. As I said before, this main lead was made out of a square wave and a triangle. In the real instruments world, the clarinet is one of the sounds that almost produce a square wave. So that's why I'm layering this sound with my main synth. Then I have another clarinet from Xenology. And this is the full layer. Then I applied some chorus. And a little bit of EQing. And this is the flipped melody. Then I had some strings, is just playing the B on top of the main lead, but to make the strings sound more full, I also played these 2 notes from the chord with this inversion. I'm using Labs with this preset. In Contact I have the Windy Mellotron from Analog Strings, then I have the Mellotron with the Dream Strings preset, and then I have Omnisphere, always with an old sounding string. I applied some EQing, a little bit of chorus to make the strings sound more vintage and more large, and then I have the classic RC20 with a little bit of wobble distortion, and then the Decimort Beat Crusher to cut a little bit of the hikes. I also reversed these strings and then I applied this type of envelope for the volume. Then we have the bass. I used Serum with the classic saw wave patch. As always, this is the flipped version of the melody as I reversed the bass too. Then we have Omnisphere. I used an acoustic bass and an organ sounding bass. So we have this preset and then I have the classic Trillion Retro 60, I think. And this is the reversed bass. And then we have the drums. This is the original loop. So I chopped this one and then I layered it with mine. So this is the final drum loop. The whole layer sounds like this. And we have the hook part that is made out of a lot of saw synths. So we have these saw chords. They are played with different inversions on the second part. I recreated this simple patch in Serum, just a saw wave with a little bit of unison and detune and a filter on the hikes. And obviously some chorus for that vintage effect. The chorus is also useful to achieve a more stereo sounding synth. And I have the same synth playing the low notes with a different filter. These lower notes are just the root notes of the chords. Then we have the synth bass. I recreated this simple patch in Serum with 2 saw waves playing on 2 different octaves with a little bit of unison in the tune, a lot of filter on the hikes with a little bit of resonance, and then a sub sign and a lot of distortion obviously. Then we have a rhythmic bass layer. This is the one that is giving more groove to the hook. I'm using Serum for this one too, and I'm always using saw waves, as you can see. In this case, they're playing on the same octave. The detune is essential to achieve that larger sounding bass. Then we have distortion, chorus, EQ, but the most important part is the LFO acting in this way on the cutoff. We have some synth brass reinforcing the second part of the hook. I used this preset from Omnisphere, I tweaked the filter and I also had some noise, and they're just replaying the same chords with this rhythm. The last synth is a saw harp that they're using on the second and on the third hook of the song. For this one I also used Serum with saw waves, distortion, chorus, and in this case we don't have a filter on the hikes. This is the first layer, and then we have the second one from Omnisphere. I used this patch from Trillion, the Functronic lead, and as you can see I'm harmonizing these saw waves because they're playing on 2 different octaves. For the last hook they just pitched this harp 1 octave higher. Talking about music theory, what they're doing is really simple. They're just playing a simple chord progression in the B minor scale. So we have the first chord of the scale, B minor, and we have the 6th chord of the scale, G major. They're playing this inversion where the root note is also played an octave higher. Then we have the 4th chord of the scale, E minor, with this inversion of the 3rd. And then we have the 7th chord of the scale, always playing with this root note inversion. They use these inversions on the higher notes to achieve this ascending feeling on the progression. I think that this root note inversion is also really useful when you're trying to achieve an epic feeling on the melody. In fact, as you can see on the second part, they're using this inversion a lot, almost on every chord. For the second part, they're using the 7th chord of the scale as a passing chord to go to the 6th, and they're also using this other passing chord to go from the 6th to the 4th chord of the scale. You can see this chord as a 3rd chord of the scale with an inversion of the 3rd and the 5th, or you can see this chord as a 5th chord of the scale, so the F sharp minor chord with an augmented 5th. For the second part of the hook, I'm also using another synth from Omnisphere, the Super Saw Sensation. For this synth, I'm using an EQ on the hikes that is opening gradually with an automation clip. The harp movement is really simple. As you can see, they're just replaying the chords with the harp. We have a bass for the verse, I used Serum. And they're just playing the root note of the first chord on 2 different octaves. Then we have the drums, a simple 2-step pattern for the hi-hat. Snare. The snare is mainly playing on the 3rd beat, but as you can see we have some counter snares playing on these off beats here. Then we have the toms. I use this patch in Serum. It's a sine wave with a descending envelope on the pitch, a little bit of noise, and then a transient that I took from this sound. We have a tonal snare, and then the kick. I used the classic rack kick with a little bit of clipping, and then I stretched it with the mule knob. We have some perks, a clap with a lot of reverb, and then this weird bongo sound, I don't really know. And then we have the snare fills for the handing. For the hook handing, I applied some delay on the basses using the Echo Boy. I used a quarter delay with a low cut and a lot of saturation. And this is the final result. That's all for this video. Smash a like and subscribe if you liked it. I will leave all my link in the description if you want to support me. I have a Patreon page where you can download all the FLPs from my remakes. I also have a BeatStars page if you want to check out my beats or drum kits, and Instagram if you want to follow me. Bye and see you in the next video.